I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar today and thank you all for joining. I am going to be guiding us through the conversation today, looking at the role of fostering recruitment support hubs. I personally have been a coach on this programme, working closely with a number of local authority clusters since August last year, which feels like a lifetime ago, but been a brilliant experience. And I've worked with everyone to help develop and launch their recruitment support hubs, which we're going to find out about today. All the local authorities involved in the programme have really shown the power of collaboration, which is what we want to talk about, to deliver their hubs. And I'm really excited, as I'm sure you all are too, to hear more about those hubs and also the individual experiences of our panellists that are joining us. So thank you all for being here to hear their experiences. So this is the first webinar in a series that we'll be running as part of our fostering learning events, where we plan to reflect on key lessons learned and the successes from setting up the hubs. And these webinars are going to be running over the next 3 months. For those of you that are joining us from outside the programme today, and I won't steal Chris's thunder, who I'll introduce in a moment, who's going to talk to us about the programme, just in short, why we're here and what it is. The purpose of this has always been about increasing the recruitment of foster carers to provide more loving homes for our most vulnerable children via these new recruitment support hubs. So the hubs are new services that have been set up by groups of local authorities to manage the foster carer journey from initial inquiry right through to application. And the hubs have been acting as a single point of contact for those inquiring to become foster carers, providing ongoing emotional and practical advice and support. And I'm sure we're going to hear a bit more today about what that looks like in reality. So as the first webinar in our series, as we sort of already mentioned, today is about exploring the role of the hubs and really focusing on the shift from competition to collaboration between local authorities on this programme. And I'm thrilled to be joined with some really interesting guests today who will share their reflections, all coming with slightly different hats in relation to the programme. So I think we're going to hear some varied views and experiences, which is brilliant. So we're joined by Chris Senior, Head of Fostering Policy and Delivery from the Department for Education, Alexander Chalkley-Weir, the Project Manager from Foster for East Midlands, Rebecca Blum, the Team Manager from Foster with West London, and then Alexandra Kinsella, who is the Programme Manager for Foster 4. And I'll hand over to each of them to say hello in a moment. Before we kick off, always worth just saying, we've obviously got the Q&A function. Please do submit any questions that you've got. We'll try to get through as many of them as possible at the end of the discussion. So without further ado, let me turn to our panelists who will now introduce themselves. So Chris.
Good afternoon, Chris Senior, Department for Education, and I have responsibility for foster care policy and all our delivery activity covering England.
Thank you, Chris. Alexander, I'm going to jump between the two Alexes. Alexander first.
Yes, I'm Alex Chalkley-Weir. I'm Project Manager at Nottinghamshire County Council. I've been working across Foster for East Midlands on the project since we had the bid funding, and we just went live in March. We've been going about 6 months now.
Thanks, Alex. Other Alex.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Kinsella and I'm the Programme Manager for Foster 4, which is the collaboration between 8 local authorities in Cheshire and Merseyside. I have been in post since the start of April, however I am actually on a secondment from one of the other local authorities within the collaboration, so I've been involved in foster care recruitment for the past 10 years, so really exciting time.
Thanks, Alex. And last but not least, Rebecca.
Yeah, hi there. My name's Rebecca Blum. I'm the manager of the West London Fostering Hub, and we support 8 local authorities in the area. I have the pleasure of working with those local authorities and hope to be able to share some of those insights with you today.
Thanks, Rebecca. So to start our discussion today, we wanted to talk a bit about the structure of the programme and its key objectives. So before we turn to our other panellists for a bit of a discussion, I'd like to hand back over to Chris, who's going to talk us through this from the Department for Education's perspective.
Can everyone see my screen? Right.
We
okay,
can
so
indeed.
Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly cover off some of the context sitting behind this work, give an overview of the programme in a little bit more detail, and then hand over to the next speaker. So that's roughly what I'll cover. Probably take about 5-10 minutes. So sure a lot of people on this call will be well aware of the issues facing the sector, but I do want to pause for a few moments on some of these issues that's driven this work and where we've got to. And quite broadly, the number of foster carers in society are falling, and there's a rising demand from children entering care and children's social care, coupled with alternative placement costs where a local authority foster carer isn't available, tend to be more expensive. And that can include independent fostering agencies, but actually more significantly using children's homes as alternative placements. That is creating extra pressure on the system at a local level. We also need more foster carers for harder to place children, so older teenagers, sibling groups, unaccompanied minors, children with more complex needs. And we also want to address the issue about children being put into placements outside their communities. So we want children to be placed within their communities. To compound matters as well, over the last few years, the number of people inquiring to become foster carers is somewhat low. And also, what is also somewhat low is the conversion rate between those inquiries and then those people ultimately being approved to be foster carers. And just to illustrate that, last year, we should get Ofsted's data in a couple of weeks' time, but last year there were 125,000 inquiries from prospective foster carers, but only 20% of those were directed at local authorities. 99,000 or so were directed to the independent sector. Retention is also a challenge. So last year, more foster carers left than that were approved. So I think roughly just over 5,000 deregistered fostering households deregistered last year, whereas just under 4,000 were approved. So we got that net deficit. There have been some quite significant sector reviews in this space recently, highlighting some of these issues that I've just covered. You'll be aware of some of these. So the Independent Review of Children's Social Care, the Competition and Markets Authority Review, etc. The key point here, though, in relation to these reviews and the recommendations that fell out of them were the need to improve that conversion rate for those applying to become a foster carer. And importantly, the focus of this should be on supporting local authorities, which will help drive better value for money in the system. So it's a local authority focused program. So just be really clear about that. The previous government's response to those recommendations culminated in the Stable Homes Built on Love strategy. So I've got someone calling me. I'll just, I don't know if that's appearing on screen. Stable Homes Built on Love set out the previous government's approach to addressing these issues. And I'll cover that programme of activity shortly. But the previous government invested 36 million this spending review on this activity. So that 36 million funding, what does it entail? In essence, the programme is funding local authorities to work together in self-selected clusters, so regions, to redesign and improve the recruitment journey for prospective foster carers. The North East was the first region to progress this work. There was what we call our Pathfinder. They launched their Foster with North East regional collaboration at the end of September last year. 9 other local authority clusters building on that North East model launched this summer, and you'll hear more about that throughout this webinar. The programme, as it's set out on this slide, has 3 components to it. The first component is the local authorities developing a recruitment hub, a regional recruitment hub focused specifically on recruiting foster carers. And the idea is that these hubs provide closer support to prospective carers going through their application journey. So greater hand-holding, buddy support, mentoring support, a greater layer of initial training and whatnot. And then the idea then is that then frees up capacity within the individual local authorities who are still responsible for the assessment and approval processes. Second component is a regional communications campaign. So the campaigns drive the prospective carers to the recruitment support hubs. And the campaigns are targeted within the communities that are part of the regional cluster. And then the third component is the Mockingbird program, which is an organized network of fostering families within a local authority that work together to support the foster carers themselves as well as the children in care. So regional hubs, comms campaigns, and Mockingbird makes up the core program that we're funding at the moment. So this is the spread of clusters across the country. All the different colours, as you can see on the left-hand side, reflect the different clusters. You'll hear from some of these today. The areas in white, just to add, the areas in white are local authorities that are not in a current cluster, but a lot of these local authorities have participated in what's called our Foster Link programme. The Foster Link programme is a support offer for individual LAs, reviewing their recruitment processes and suggesting recommendations. And there's also a good practice sharing dimension to that work as well. So altogether, combined, we're working with 99 local authorities across the country, which is quite a significant spread of activity.
Chris, just before you carry on, would you mind lifting your mic up slightly, just because you're slightly faint, just so it's a bit closer to your mouth?
Okay, how's that?
Perfect, that's
yep.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yep. Okay, and just to finish off, I'm sharing here a series of posters, which illustrates what the program looks like from across the country. So you'll see that these come under a unified, broadly unified campaign. So share your home, shape their future tagline. Each region has a variation of this theme, but you can see a broader campaign developing across the country. I'll finish up by saying a lot of the activity launched this summer, and it's early days. Obviously, it takes time to recruit a foster carer to go through the assessment processes. So we're eagerly awaiting the first approvals to come through. What I can say though is that we are independently evaluating the Northeast Pathfinder, and that is looking quite positive. In particular, the campaign and how that is so-called cutting through in a noisy environment. So people are recognizing the campaign is standing out, and they're recognizing the campaign being a local authority-led campaign to recruit foster carers, which is very encouraging. Okay, I'll stop there. I'll stop sharing. I will be around for this session, so I'm happy to chip in with questions at the end. And I'll hand back.
Thank you very much, Chris, for sharing your slides and for outlining the programme. So now that we've heard a bit about the context and why this programme exists, I'd love to turn to our other panelists to hear about your experiences of setting up and working within the hubs over the past couple of months. So without further ado, my first question to each of you in turn, and I don't mind who goes first, but I can also pick on one of you. The question is, what do you see as the benefits and challenges of working as a region to set up a recruitment support hub?
I'm happy to go first if
go
that's
for it,
helpful.
Alex.
So if I start with the challenges, I think one of the things that we've identified is the capacity and engagement, particularly of support services. So a lot of this, the grant funding which we've received has gone into sort of the front end of fostering, sort of social workers, team manager, capacity, performance, that kind of thing. But obviously there's a lot of HR processes behind this. We've co-located a new team. There's a lot of comms and marketing colleagues involved. And I think sometimes it's easy to sort of overlook how much involvement they need, and they're also trying to get on with their day job, so to speak. So this is a new task for them as well. So that's definitely been a challenge, and it's something that we're trying to work through pretty much constantly, consistently now. In terms of the benefits, so we've just in Foster East Midlands hit our 6-month mark, and we had our first approval last week. So we've got a good opportunity to sort of reflect, and we had some reflection meetings over the last couple of weeks. And I think the pace, the focus, and like the collaborative spirit of Foster East Midlands has been really positive. We've built on existing collaboration really well. We've managed to see benefit in aligning our pathways and processes, so our prospective carers now get the best of what we all do together. And there's more availability, there's more recruitment officer capacity amongst the teams. I think we've definitely seen the benefit of building those meaningful relationships, and that's been reflected by both our service users and by our fostering colleagues who've been talking about how good it is to be able to share that relationship. And I think for us, the data seems to show that it's working. We've just got our course 2 data in train at the moment. So it's all TBC, but at the moment it looks like our inquiry to application rate is doubled that of the previous 3 years for LAs as a proportion. And then benchmark against last year, we do expect to see a significant increase in foster carers coming through the system. So it feels like it's working, and the people working in it seem to like working in it and see the benefit too. So I'll stop rambling
brilliant. Not a ramble at all. Thank you so much, Alex, and so great to hear that working together is already leading to some great results. So thank you for sharing. And Rebecca, can I come to you next, please?
Yeah, that's fine. I thought I'd speak from kind of an operational level, because I know that Alex, who's going to speak in a minute, might speak from more of a strategic level. So for us, a bit like what Alexander was saying, having dedicated staff within the regional hub has been a big turnaround for a lot of the local authorities that I've been working with. A lot of the staff who've been involved in recruitment before have had many other hats to put on in a day, and often the recruitment and calling people has kind of come below perhaps completing Form Fs and things like that. So having the dedicated staff to communicate with people and provide a really good customer service has been a real big game changer for all the local authorities. And that has been evidenced in the conversion rates that we've seen. So we've seen a dramatic increase in the conversion rates from when we have someone who's thinking about fostering to then converting to a visit, because they've had that really good quality customer service from Foster with West London, somebody getting back to them and also trying them a number of times and in a number of ways. So that's been a real positive. And similar to that, we've been able to drive marketing on a regional level and try some things that haven't necessarily worked at a local level, but actually at a regional level, when you have a big pool of money, we're able to try things that perhaps each of those local authorities individually haven't been able to try before. One of those things being through the data, through digital sites. A lot of local authorities haven't been able to do that before, and that again has had a significant increase in the number of inquiries we've had about fostering. A final sort of benefit has been around the collaboration between local authorities. So, for instance, we've had people inquire to foster for one particular local authority, but they don't need, say for instance, respite only carers, but other local authorities do require that. So actually we've been able to not lose those people to independent fostering agencies. We've been able to move them over to a different local authority, and so, you know, we're all about increasing the number of foster carers within West London, and we're not thinking individually about people and scoring against other local authorities. So we've actually been able to very smoothly work with other local authorities in transferring that person to another place. So that's been a real big benefit.
Thank you, Rebecca. And perfect example of that shift from competition to collaboration. Can I ask you to just move your headphones slightly, your microphone slightly down? Because it was, yes, thank you. Perfect. Sorry, I'm being very bossy with the microphones today. Thank you for sharing, Rebecca. Alex, can I come to you finally, please?
Yeah, I feel like I need to do a mic check before I start
You're
speaking.
all good.
Johanna, am I okay?
You're perfect, thank you.
Hi everyone. So I thought it might be quite beneficial to understand the Foster 4 collaboration, how that's set up, because my role is slightly different, I think, than other collaborations. So we are 8 local authorities across Cheshire and Merseyside. one of the benefits of Foster4 was that the Cheshire authorities had actually already been in a collaboration, which was really useful in terms of when we set up the wider collaboration and included the Merseyside authorities, because the brand was actually already in existence. The Foster4 brand was actually already in circulation, really, and a recognisable brand within the Cheshire area. When we obviously became a wider collaboration, we welcomed 5 of the authorities from the Merseyside area, and we did do slightly a bit of a rebrand, and we went a lot brighter in our appeal, and we did a lot of work in terms of what colours resonate with people of a caring capacity, and a lot of the psychological elements of why we were going brighter. And I think from our perspective, we would say that the collaboration has been really successful, just in terms of people referring to us as, you are everywhere lately, aren't you? You are everywhere. And I think one of the benefits of that is that it's just that one brand appeal. So instead of there being, 8 local authority branding campaigns going on, but we're all campaigning for the same message, the same carers, we now have this one consistent brand. So whether they see us in one local authority or another, they are recognising us as the go-to brand, really, for foster care recruitment. So I think that was probably one of the biggest things working towards a collaboration that I see as a benefit. We've taken inquiries right across. Our remit is really wide in Cheshire and Merseyside, and we've taken an inquiry whilst doing a recruitment event for other authorities. Now I see that as a real benefit as well, because we traditionally would have sent that inquiry off to somewhere else. We would have said, get in touch with your local authority, a little bit too far away for our authority to take. But now we're able to take all of these inquiries in this one consistent approach, and that's a real benefit for people. It makes it a lot easier for people, and they can come and see us wherever they are, whether they're in work. And yourselves, a lot of us don't work in the authority area that we live in. So even that, just going out on lunch breaks and things like that, and they're bumping into a lot of the recruitment events, it's worked really well for us. We've probably not seen any negative aspects in terms of the collaboration to competition. I would probably say that's been one of our strengths in terms of our appeal as well. We have really just delved into that we're all going to work together here. We're all trying to get the best for our children at the end of the day, and that's been a real benefit to us in terms of improving quite a lot of the service delivery on local levels. So my role is the program manager, but I'm also involved in the marketing, in the day-to-day running of the hub. We offer therapeutic support to carers whilst they're going through assessment, and then for the start of their fostering journey as well. We've also developed a training service as well for foster carers. And obviously that's been a real benefit. So my role is slightly different. It's not just looking at the recruiting hub. We have got the retention element of it as well, which has been really exciting.
Thank you so much, Alex. And it'll be great to hear, I'm sure, a bit more about those the training and the therapeutic support offer, because we're going to come to talk about some innovative approaches to supporting foster carers. Thank you all for sharing your benefits and challenges. It would also be great to hear from each of you one piece of advice that you would give to someone if they were setting up a recruitment support hub elsewhere across the country. I'm going to change the order and come to Rebecca first on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll just give one. The main thing for us has been around data and around managing that data when it comes in the case management system. And so some real thought before you kind of dive into deciding which case management system you're going to use regionally will stand you in good stead, because it's one of the most important things to get right, and how you're going to collect that data and then share that with other local authorities. It's been a challenge for us, and we still haven't got it right. So I definitely pass that on to really consider your process and on which case management system you need.
I think that's probably a fair experience that lots of hubs have experienced around the challenges around CRM. And I would say, not that you're asking for my advice, but reach out to others who have done this to find out where the pitfalls are when it comes to the CRM, because we've got lots of learning, which hopefully we're sharing today, but there will definitely more that people can learn about, especially when it comes to the CRM. Alex from Foster Free Smedlands, I'll come to you next.
Thank you. I think for us, sort of from start to implementation of the project, it's about relationships. So we try to really lean in on the existing regional relationships we had. We already had a regional training offer for our pre-approval carers, and also sort of regular service manager meetings. So it was building on those, building that trust, and then working sort of top to bottom through the service from DCS level down to build that trust and engagement and let them know that this was new, this was a bit scary, and there was a risk that they might lose out to other LAs, but actually overall everyone would benefit. And then since we've gone live, showing them that through regular performance updates, regular governance boards, and then on the reverse of that, using those colleagues and using those relationships when we have challenges or when we have risks or decisions that need making, we know how to escalate those quickly and identify what the important decisions are. So it's just that sort of that governance and relationships piece, I think, has been absolutely key for us, particularly from sort of a project perspective more than the service delivery perspective. Yeah, so and I think also just to be that person that no one likes, I think use mutual ventures as well, because we have generally found them really helpful both as a sounding board to link up with other LAs, and particularly the initial phase, because I work for one of our local authorities, there's always a risk that people see me as doing things to them rather than with them. Mutual ventures are really helpful in coming in and facilitating some of those early conversations around what we all wanted to get out of the project, and how we could all contribute together, being that third party independent support. So I think it's really valuable. So if you are thinking of setting a cluster up, definitely use them. I've not been paid to say that.
I'm glad you said that and not me. Thank you very much for sharing your advice. And finally, Alex.
Yeah, probably echo exactly what Rebecca and Alexandra have said there, but I would also suggest if you are considering setting up a recruitment support hub is looking at the relationships and also seeing what's already working well on a local level for those authorities, because they know the residents, the best that they can possibly know. So listen to them, incorporate that localized knowledge into any branding campaigns, and also when just speaking to people on a local level as well, how you engage with people. We've seen in Cheshire and Merseyside, the different demographics in our residents is very varied. So really understanding that localized element, it can't be underestimated. And a lot of people do, have got that knowledge base already, have just not been able to develop it to this level ever before.
Thank you, Alex. I'd now like to spend a bit of time, if that's okay, talking about how you guys within your hubs have kind of come up with new ways to support prospective foster carers, specific kind of innovative ways, and you'll develop new approaches. And I know that that's happened across all the hubs. So Rebecca, can I come to you first on that one, please?
Yeah, sure. For us, we didn't just want to concentrate on that process from when we get the inquiry in until we pass them over for a visit for each local authority. We wanted to make sure that actually we considered what each of the local authorities were finding challenging, and with that we've done a few things really. One of those things being prospective foster carers, after they've gone to those skills to foster training, have felt quite isolated and not connected to other people in similar situations. So we've set up a support group for prospective foster carers, run by a current foster carer, to chat informally about different topics, lead conversations if needed about, say, panel or finances or just taking your first placement, but ultimately just being a general peer-to-peer support group for those people. So that's one of the innovations we've had, with the hope to keep people engaged, to keep them on that journey and not and reduce that dropout. Another thing we've done is we've created a fostering ambassador role for the West London area. Whilst we have loads and loads of people, foster carers within each of the local authorities who are very helpful in being buddies, what's better when somebody picks up the phone to have somebody available to West London to be able to chat about fostering. So we've employed someone within our hub as a dual role inquiry officer, but also having that fostering ambassador role. And so when anyone is a little bit unsure as to whether fostering might be right for them, or just after that initial conversation, we always offer a conversation with a foster carer. And we're finding that actually that's really helping with that decision-making process, speeding up that process to actually deciding, yes, it's right for me, or actually it's just not right for me at the moment, but it might be in the future. And so that role has been really, really helpful, having somebody available at all times to the hub. And what's happened coincidentally is that when people have perhaps moved to stage 1, people aren't quite getting what emergency fostering is, say for instance, then they will refer back to us and say, could your fostering ambassador give this couple a ring, just to explain to them more about what that might entail, and actually is that going to be the right thing for them. And so it's been really helpful further down the line. We're not just thinking about, oh well, we've passed it over to the local authority now, that's it, we've handed that over. We're really thinking about and caring about those people once we've passed them on to the local authorities. So that's just a couple of things.
Can I ask, on your regional ambassadors, do they only speak to a prospective foster carer within their local authority where they're based, or would they speak to anyone across the region?
So they're employed by the region. So we have one that covers all local authorities, and they have knowledge and speak. Well, fostering is quite generic in that you can speak about that wherever you currently foster for. So they are somebody that will represent the whole region. And it's working really well that we are looking to employ another person part-time to do another role, because the demand is there and it's working really well.
Brilliant, great to hear that it's being taken up. Alex, Foster 4, can I come to you next, please?
Yeah, in terms of additional support that we're offering, I would probably say we've put a lot of our focus on the therapeutic support package that we are offering prospective carers within their assessment. We have really looked at the data basically for the past couple of years for all of our local authorities and seen a consistent deregistration within the first 12 months, particularly we've all seen since COVID happened. And we wanted to really look at that and ways in which we could improve that from a perspective of the Foster 4 hub. And we have 2 therapeutic practitioners, and they work with the prospective foster carers just as they're coming up to panel. So once they've gone through stage 1 of the Form F assessment and you know they're really towards the end of their assessment, we'll start working with them in a therapeutic way and working with them to ensure that they understand the needs of the children that are going to be placed with them. We all know the restrictions that all of the local authorities are under at the moment in terms of matching as much as they possibly can, but really sufficiency has a role to play within that. And we wanted to make sure that we are offering some additional support through the hub and through this amazing collaboration opportunity that we've actually had. So the therapeutic practitioners will go out and they will work, and they will be doing some trauma-based education with the prospective foster carers, and then they are also supporting them within their first year of assessment as well, with ongoing, like we are still in touch. You haven't just been, left in your first year. This support is still available, and it's been really beneficial. We've had our first approvals go through in the past month. We've had a few approvals, and they've really benefited from that support that's been in place. And they are also delivering some therapeutic care training as part of what we're looking at doing moving forward, is offering that as part of the preparation training, and really embedding that right from the start, so that carers feel that they have an understanding of the children, and the trauma that they may have experienced right from the offset. A lot of the carers in the first year will always feel that they've come into it for so many reasons, to help and to support, and sometimes it can be really challenging for them that first year to be is this, like, am I good enough? Am I doing enough? And I think, just really embedding that trauma-based knowledge right from their assessment is going to support them. Well, that is our intention and that is our hope. We'll obviously not be able to evidence that data-wise until 12 months into the programme, but that is our intention, and it is looking positive in terms of, just feedback from those carers that have benefited from that support so far.
Thank you, Alex. I wonder if you could also just touch very briefly on your training portal that you set up, because it's not something that all hubs have done. I think it's quite an interesting model.
Yeah, so we've also set up one system approach to foster carer training for all foster carers who are part of our collaboration. We have a participation group of foster carers who've been really instrumental in shaping that as well. So it is part of the mandatory training that new foster carers have to participate in as part of the fostering regulations. But the foster care participation group have actually shaped what that mandatory training should look like, and have also given it guidance and advice on how they feel when they are coming up to 3 years, have completed that mandatory training, and instead of repeating the whole training again, can we develop a refresher course for them that would help them moving forward in their fostering journey. So we have a one system that all foster carers in the collaboration can access. They can book on all training, all mandatory training, which is delivered from the Foster 4 hub, and that includes, your safe care, your safeguarding, equality and diversity, paediatric first aid. That's all been a real benefit, doing it because now we can offer that training, of an evening, online, of a weekend. We've got so much more flexibility because the world of fostering is changing, isn't it? There's not one person's at home, with the fostering role. Majority of carers coming through the doors now, they both work, they've got really busy lives. We need to adapt to that as well. So we are offering the training flexibly for our carers to access. So they book it all through the one system. They just select what local authority they are registered with, and they can see all of the training that's available to them. And that includes all of the mandatory training that Foster 4 are delivering, but it also includes some of the specialised training that might just be available for that local authority. But one of the good things that's happening there is, we get to the end, we start approaching some of these training courses, and we know from experience that people drop out, or or not all places are booked. Well, now we can open them up to all 8 authorities, and that's been a benefit because the places have all been taken now with the training. Moving forward, there's going to be a lot more on offer for them and a lot more flexibility in how they access it. They can visit different authorities if that works better for them. What we found as well is the carers have really liked that. They've really enjoyed chatting to each other from different authorities and getting to know each other and feeling part of a wider fostering community, not just part of their own local authority. They feel like it's a really big, they're part of a really big thing now, and that's been a real benefit to them.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's brilliant to hear from both hubs the different approaches that you've developed in order to better support prospective foster carers. And I love the idea of a wider fostering community across the region. I think this is what it's all about as well. If it's okay now, I'd like to ask other Alex a question about recognizing that change takes time and isn't easy, and I think we can all acknowledge that. What have you done in your region to help shift mindsets away from competition to collaboration?
Thank you. So we've tried to focus really intentionally on building trust and confidence at all levels, both sort of from DCS level down through operational managers, service managers, that sort of thing, right the way through to our foster carers, because we recognise that change is different, change can be hard, and we also know that a lot of authorities who are under a lot of pressure to recruit more carers might be thinking, well, hold on, why are we letting other authorities recruit from our patch, so to speak? So it's definitely been around trying to change that mindset, and it goes back to saying about communication. We've communicated persistently. We've identified through colleagues and through engagement where there are pressure points, where there are concerns. So immediately, as soon as we entered the bid for this, the first question we got asked by everyone was, how many approvals are we going to get? Are we going to lose approvals? So trying to model that early, trying to build that data, extrapolate out and understand our data. And in some cases offering both high challenge and high support. So it's not always about just sort of going with the flow of what some of our stakeholders think or worried about. It sometimes challenge those presumptions and saying, actually, we know this will work because And these are the assumptions based on that and building a detailed picture. Since we've gone live, we've tried to sort of further that trust and confidence through weekly performance updates. So every week, stakeholders from across the authority see how many applications we've got, how many approvals we've got, the numbers coming through the door. They can see the ratios, and it's really helpful because they come back and challenge us as well. It's not a one-way street. They say, well, why is this figure like this? Why is this happening? And I think one of the examples of that is one of our member LAs was seeing a higher dropout rate of compared to the others. And naturally they challenged that and said, well, is that due to the work Foster East Midlands doing? Is it something that we're doing as an LA? And there was a meeting held between all of the operational colleagues involved. They talked it through and sort of realised actually it is part of fostering to have dropouts, and they just had an unfortunate patch. There was obviously some learnings, but by and large, we were able to help steady their nerve, bear with, and then in a few weeks, everyone else at a similar level has leveled out across the region. So it's just assuring people that we are there, we're responsive, and we see what they see. And the other part of it is, of course, is we work in sort of local government and democracy, so we have to engage our members and sort of senior executive officers as well. So inviting them to events, we had a big launch event in May, and we had quite a few people come, and we had members coming, and it was putting on their radar that this is something we want to continue, something we think works, and something that they should be getting involved with. And since then, they've even been asking to be involved in our promotional campaigns and asking to help support further. So I think just recognizing that so many people want this to succeed, but reassuring them that it can has been absolutely key in building that trust and confidence. And I suppose just to finish off, that we've had to be confident and comfortable in not knowing what we don't know. So I'm sure sort of future funding will come up in the conversations of the questions later. We've had to be comfortable in saying to colleagues, we don't know that yet, but here's what we can do to mitigate in the meantime. Here's when we will know, and we're here and trying to support as best we can. And there are other things they don't know where actually we don't need to know right now. We'll work on what we've got in front of us, and sort of reassuring them of that in a nice sort of supportive and strengths-based way. So yeah.
Thank you, Alex. It's interesting, the patience and trust kind of goes to your first point around the relationships that you build being so key in order to get that patience and trust, which takes a bit of time. And we've definitely seen that across lots of clusters, that's come and gone, but those relationships to build that trust are absolutely vital. Before we wrap up and turn to the Q&A, I had one final question for each of you, and just to say this has been a really interesting discussion so far to hear all your different experiences, but to finish us off, it'd be great to hear from each of you how setting up a recruitment support hub has allowed you to deliver a better experience to prospective foster carers. We've touched on this a bit already, but it would be great to hear an example from each of you as to how it's delivered a better experience. Rebecca, can I come to you first, please?
Yeah, of course. We do check-in calls with people a couple of weeks after we've transferred, and on average we're rated 5 out of 5 because we do that numerically, and we also gave some verbal feedback as well. Everyone is saying about the quality of the information they've been receiving, how it hasn't been confusing moving from a regional approach to then moving on to individual local authorities, how they felt that they could come back to us if they've had any further questions, if they're not hearing from the local authority, if they're worried about anything. I think it's just purely about them feeling like they have got the right information when they want it, and be able to make an informed decision about whether fostering is right for them. And so, yeah, that's the main thing for us, really, is providing good quality customer service.
Thank you, Rebecca. Alex from Foster 4.
Yeah, I do. I agree with Rebecca there with regards to the customer experience. I think it's very consistent now in terms of being part of a collaboration. So we have a 1 point of inquiry really, and everybody's going to receive that similar answer to questions in terms of answering how the very common questions that we're all asked when people are thinking about recruitment. It's now one consistent approach to that. We've also got a team of support workers who respond to all of our inquiries, and they're the same people who may have been out on recruitment events. So I feel like that's worked really well for our collaboration, because we're seeing that consistency of I spoke to that person at an event, and then they're on the phone. They're also delivering some of the information events where they can come along. So that's really improved things for our collaboration, and also in terms of the offer, really. We're able to offer information sessions in person and online, and we're doing them a couple of times a month now, where local authorities probably never had the capacity to be able to deliver them on so many offers to people. We've also got keep in touch lists, so if people aren't ready to convert to an expression of interest and go over to the local authority for an initial visit, we are still keeping in touch with them. We're sending them things and information. You're still thinking about fostering, and that consistent approach is right across now, and we've seen a lot of benefit to that as well, and being able to keep on that. It's not something that, oh yeah, I need to get in touch with that person. They made an inquiry a month ago. Now it's all very much timed on our customer management system, and we're able to send out newsletters and reminders that an information session's taking place if they'd like to join us, and very similar to Rebecca's hub, we stay in touch with our inquiries as well, and stay very much embedded in the team from after initial visit, and just see follow that foster carer's journey. Luckily we've obviously got the therapeutic element, so we are closely following it in that capacity, but I still think it's really nice to have that localized feel to your recruitment, and that it's not a big massive call center. We're not that approach isn't at all. It's very personalized, and we are very grateful for every inquiry that's coming our way. We've been really conscious around the localized element of our hub, and trying to incorporate that as much as we can.
Thank you, Alex. And finally, other Alex?
I think for us, it's kind of been covered already, as well as the customer service. It's removing those boundaries. We have so many carers that live in one local authority but want to foster for another, or the placements available may be better suited for them, or sort of the contact may be better for them. So it's given them the opportunity to have that discussion and say, you live in this local authority, but maybe this one's got the better offer for you. And having that flexibility to have those discussions and outline what the positives are of each local authority, and giving them that choice so they can find the best place to foster for them, and not just having to foster effectively by default for one local authority. So I think that's been really well received.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you to all of you for your sharing your experiences of the successes of your collaboration, but also some of the challenges. We've had some interesting questions, and one that I'd like to come to first, if that's okay, is around the challenge when you're starting a new collaboration, where you're all coming at it from different starting places. So whether that be your local authorities are in different financial positions or different Ofsted ratings. I know in some of the clusters this has been a challenge. I just wondered if any of you have had that experience, and how you tackled the different starting points on the journey of setting up your collaborations.
I don't mind answering. From our perspective, one of the differences was some of the authorities had recruitment leads in post, so there had been a lot of activity taking place for that authority previously, whereas other authorities joining the collaboration had that resource in place. So I think that's been a bit of a learning curve in terms of how we learn from our recruitment leads who've already been in position, and how we're going to work with them in the future as well, as the collaboration continues.
Thank you, Alex. Other Alex, did you also want to comment on that one? I saw you come off mute.
Yeah, it was just to say, so sort of from a more strategic level. So our members, our Constellation members, one of them had consultants in at the start of this program, going through a program change already. They're different Ofsted ratings. So we just tried to identify areas of strength, I think. So the lead hub, the lead LA for our hub is Ofsted outstanding when it comes to fostering. So building on their strengths, but also reaching out to each of the LAs and asking what they needed to see. What was it that the LAs were under more pressure needed from this program, and identifying early how we can again build that trust and confidence we'll deliver that, and work with them rather than sort of to them. And I think that's been helpful, and I think we're getting to the point now where we are seeing sort of success being celebrated by each of our partner LAs. So it's just sort of understanding our cluster and working with them.
Thank you, Alex. I think that the key message is learning lessons from each other at the start, but also throughout the whole process, because we can continually share those and build on our shared successes. We've had a question around recruitment of your hub teams, and whether doing recruitment to staff your teams at a regional level has been easier than at individual local authority level. The question was specifically around recruiting social workers, but I know actually not all your hubs have social workers in, so I don't know if anyone wants to touch on kind of the structure of your hubs and whether you've had any challenges recruiting, or whether you think actually doing it at a regional level has seen benefits to that.
I don't mind talking about
Go
this.
for it, Rebecca.
So in my hub, we don't have social workers currently. We are not doing visits yet as a hub. So I have 3 inquiry officers working for me full time, with one of those having a dual role of being the fostering ambassador. 2 people have been seconded from another region within our hub cluster. They came with a high level of experience. I think we had a very clear role profile and encouraged the benefits and of being part of a pilot. So for us, we didn't have any issues with recruiting, and I didn't have any troubles recruiting to the fostering ambassador role either. I think that the being a part of a new and innovative program was potentially something that pulled people in to kind of wanting to be a part of that, which is an advantage we have over individual local authorities, and really showing the belief that we have in trying something new, and people really wanted to be a part of that. Also trying to show that they'll have an element of professionalism in their job role, and they'll have variety in there, and encouraging that as part of our recruitment. So we haven't had any issues. I understand the issue with recruiting social workers is very different to that of inquiry officers. I think that that's a whole other level, because there are lots of challenges with that, and we may have the same challenges as you if we were to recruit to that. I don't know. Is it Alex? Alex, do you have social workers in your team? So I don't know. Yeah.
So we took our lead team took the decision early on to second social workers over from the assessment teams that are in place, because they recognise that some of the work the assessment team will be doing in terms of that attracting foster carers and bringing them through inquiry stage up to application will be done by the hub instead. So I think by and large it's been quite successful, because they bring that local knowledge, they bring their understanding of how processes work, and they're able to help build that relationship with sort of each of the LAs in the cluster as well, because they know what works for them. But I think it's always a challenge, isn't it, social work recruitment? So we've been quite fortunate in that.
Thank you both. And I think the point around the excitement of trying something new and working on a different approach to increasing foster carers, I would definitely agree, has been a brilliant experience, and it's been great to hear all of your experiences today. So thank you all for taking the time to come along and share your different perspectives and the roles that you play within your recruitment support hubs. I'm conscious of the time, and I know people will have another meeting at 1, so I'm going to wrap us up, and just to say again, thank you to all of you who have taken the time to join, and again to the panelists, and to say that our next webinar in our series is in November, and it will focus on the importance of co-design and delivery with foster carers, and we'll be joined by some foster carers who have been involved in the delivery of the recruitment support hub. So do keep an eye out for the registration link, because it'd be great to see many of you there. And again, congratulations to all those with the approvals and the successes. It's been so lovely to hear about all of the successes today, and all the different approaches that you guys have been taking. So thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your days.